I will always tell people we will get the right home. We will find it. In 29 years, I've not had a situation where we don't ultimately find the right home, but it is being patient. And I just continue to be optimistic and encouraging and letting them know that this is not a sprint, this is a marathon, especially when we're in a market like the last multiple years. You need to be patient and be willing and able to do whatever you can to position yourself to be the one to get the home that you want. Now, with that said, sometimes you don't get it, but if you do everything you can, then you're in a place where you're going to at least feel it stings, but it doesn't sting as bad. And what I mean by that is when we sit down and we're structuring that process of what does this look like, we find that home and they're like, oh, I love this home, I want this home. Great, then let's strategize. How can we best protect you through the purchase process while getting you the home? You'll hear people talk about wanting a good deal. In this world and in this market, the good deal is getting your offer accepted. It doesn't mean you're getting it for less than list price. If we can, that's great. But the time for that was 3 months ago. And we're back in a place right now where, generally speaking, we're not seeing less than. So when we sit down to structure the offer and how do we make that work, we're looking at all of the facets involved. So yes, price is one of those, and this is speaking to the buyer. Price is one of those. That's one piece that matters. Possession. Does the seller need 2 weeks of rent back because they can't get to their new home until 2 weeks later? Can you accommodate that? If so, that gives you a step up above the person that can't do that. So now if you have two people offering the same price, and one you can offer the rent back that they need, and the other one cannot, you're now in a better place than them. Inspection. We've talked about inspection. I'll continue to say I would never recommend somebody waive an inspection. But maybe you're willing to do the inspection looking for big ticket items, and that you start out by telling the seller, I'm not looking to ask for little small items to be done. I will not ask for any tiny repairs, any repairs under $1,000, but I still want to maintain the right to have that inspection to make sure that you are knowing the overall condition of the home, to make sure that you're not buying something that has water under the house that's going to be fixable, but a $15,000 fix or an $8,000 fix that you weren't anticipating and don't have the resources for that. Appraisal. Do you have an appraisal waiver? In the last couple of years, appraisal waivers have become something that we will occasionally see. If you're putting a large enough down payment and you have the lender says, based upon your credit score, based upon the value of the home, and based upon the down payment, we're good, we don't need to appraise this. Well, if you have that appraisal waiver and I work with my lender to make sure up front, is that an option that we have? If so, and we can write that into our offer to say, hey, we already have an appraisal waiver, you're now positioning yourself the best you possibly can. What if it's something where you already know there's multiple offers and they are already going over list price? Now you have to gut check. This is the hardest part for people to wrap their brain around, and what they end up needing to do is they have to decide what's that line you're willing to do. And that's how I present it to anybody that I have ever worked with, because they ask, Dale, what do we do? Well, I can't tell you where that line is, but I can explain to you how to find that line for yourself. Let's use $400,000. It's listed at $400,000, and you have to say, okay, it's over that. What can I qualify for? What am I willing to do? And based upon that, what's that place where if you said, I'll offer $410, but in your mind you're thinking, I'd really pay $415, and you write $410, and you find out it sold for $412,000, and you think, oh, I would have paid $415 for it. If you would have paid $415 in these highly competitive situations, you put your highest and best foot forward up front, and you write it for $415. Yeah, you're wanting the deal. Remember, sometimes getting the deal is getting the home that you want to have. Because over the course of 30 years, that $15,000 may not make that big of a difference when you factor it out over that period of time to get the right home versus sacrificing and getting a home that isn't what you want for maybe the $400 or $390. So you have to really think through that, and it's really a gut level check to say, where am I okay if you tell me somebody paid $417? That's great. I wouldn't have paid $417. If you can get to that place on that decision, then you're at peace. You still sting a little bit because you didn't get the home you wanted, but you can at least rest at night knowing you put everything you had forward to be able to do that. One of the other factors in this scenario that needs to be thought about, if you do not have an appraisal waiver and you're offering anything over the list price, can you guarantee and protect that overage to the seller? Because from the seller's perspective, they are looking to determine, do I get that money? If it's listed at $400 and you offer $415, but you can't guarantee the difference in an appraisal between $400 and $415, and if it doesn't appraise at $415 and it appraises at $400, well, unless the seller's willing to bring that difference in, the price is coming down, which means the seller's getting $400, not this fictitious number of $415. So if you can guarantee that, meaning you've got enough down payment, or maybe you've got 20% down and you might change your loan to a 10% down loan and use that excess money towards guaranteeing the appraisal, that's another thing that makes your offer strong to give peace of mind to the seller, because the seller's ultimate line is, what do I get? The seller wants to know, how much money do I get? And if there's not a guarantee of that $415, you can't guarantee what the appraiser is going to appraise it at. And if they don't appraise it at $415, if they appraise it at $410, and you can't guarantee that, then and you don't have the ability to pay that difference, then the seller's only option is to bring the price down. Now they're bringing the price down to not get the number they thought. So that's actually one of the scenarios. In fact, the one that had 15 offers that I was mentioning, they actually didn't take the highest offer. They took an offer that was just less than that, but the just less than that offer had an appraisal guarantee, whereas the higher offer, in a perfect case, would have gotten the seller more money, but it was a roll of the dice. They had to make a decision to say, okay, if I take this offer, it's the highest dollar, but there's no promise or guarantee that that's what I'm going to get. And in that case, they could end up less than the guaranteed number that was a little bit lower, but still way higher than the listing price.